America is a nation that can be defined in a single word.
Well, we're waiting.
I was going to put him.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
There's something wrong with Joe.
All right, so back to one of our favorite segments. There's something wrong with Joe. I know it's one of my favorite segments. It's a little sad, though, pointing out the continued mental decline of our resident of the United States. We're going to look at a couple things real quick. Now, this was from a couple of weeks ago, to be fair, but I wanted to bring it up to kind of lay the groundwork for what I'm going to show you here in just a second. But this is him talking about that same spending bill, of course, of what they were trying to do. And this is from New York Post on YouTube. And I wanted to play it from YouTube specifically, not just, the clip, but I want to play it from YouTube because the comments are just great. When you look at the comments, it's really, really telling because, they got rid of the dislike button, or it's there. You just can't see, people that dislike it. But when Jimmy Kimmel just recently announced, and I saw this on the quartering, I got to give him the credit for this, but he was saying that Jimmy Kimmel said this may be his last time or last contract or whatever doing the late night show. And the comments, the replies, retweets or whatever were just people just dogging this man. Very few, if any, people were there supporting him. And it makes you wonder where his audience is. Who is his audience, right? Well, you got to think 81 million people voted for President Biden. And I will always say this, whether you agree or disagree that that the election was legit and everything was all well and good and he actually won the election or whatever, I won't get into that right now. I have my own opinions about that, to be fair. But I have always said this, and I stand by it, that even the people that did vote for him, whether it was 81 million or whatever you believe or whatever, I don't truly believe that people were voting for Biden. I think the majority of them were just voting against Trump. They couldn't tell you anything about Biden. They just knew that Trump was bad because that's what they heard, and it was going to be awful. One, I think they're regretting that now. But two, I think it's fair to say that if they went back and reevaluated things, they have no idea who Biden is, what he stands for, nothing. They just knew he wasn't Trump. So most of those people were voting against Trump. So they're not going to support this guy. They're not going to be in the comments defending him. They can't. They have no idea who this man is. But we've seen the cognitive decline. I'm having a little bit myself. And we've seen just the desperation from that party to do anything and everything they can to protect the image of this man. Let's watch this and we'll scroll down through some comments. It's very, very, very telling. This is only about a little less than 2 minutes long.
This bipartisan agreement also provides Israel with what it needs to protect its people and defend itself against Hamas terrorists. And it will provide the necessary life-saving humanitarian assistance for the Palestinian people.
What needs to get done for the hostage deal to get resolved, sir?
This indirectly has a lot to do with the hostage deal.
He doesn't take questions all the time, so pay attention to how he's going into it right here, and then see how he starts to drift.
This is what we do in terms of American funding, of whether we're going to engage with the situation in Ukraine. It all goes to the question of American power. It all goes to, does America keep its word? Does America move forward? There is some movement, and I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words. There's some movement. There's been a response from there's been a response from the opposition, but yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas, but it seems to be a little over the top. We're not sure where it is. There's a continuing negotiation right now.
Mr. President, if this bill fails, would you consider supporting something separate that just addresses Israel or Ukraine?
I'm not going to concede that now. We need it all. The rest of the world's looking at us, and they really are.
Mr. President, first, this Congress
does not have immunity, Mr. President.
And that's it right there. I mean, he walks off. He cannot take questions. He cannot run off the top of his head. He has to have the teleprompter there or his notes tell him what to do. And he still screws that up most of the time, right? There is no way, I'm saying it right now, and I'm not the only one saying this. There's no way he will debate Trump. No way. He can't do it. It will be impossible without the teleprompters or notes there to guide him on what to say. There's no way. Let's look at the comments real quick because this is just incredibly telling. Slide down here real quick. Excuse me, buddy. He needs a rocket chair and a nurse. I am looking forward to the day he accidentally tells the truth about who is running the show. The fact that he hasn't been declared mentally unfit to finish his first presidency and they're allowing him to run again proves what really happened in the 2020 election. Like I said, we'll see. No way this can be for more years. Some other folks said this too. This guy's soul sounds dead inside. He's so frail. He's just a shadow wearing a suit. Jill took him for a Happy Meal and he tried eating the toy and played with the hamburger. Whoever voted for this dude should be held accountable for all this mess. He went a whole minute without blaming Trump. Imagine another 4 years of this. We are all in big trouble, and I'll end it with that one. But they're not wrong. I mean, you see it, I see it. It's pretty obvious, pretty telling, isn't it? Jon Stewart called this out the other week. And then the left attacked him, and now he's course correcting. But you see it. They're going to tell you not to believe your lying eyes, but you see the cognitive decline. Remember, he finally visited East Palestine, or Palestine. I think it's called Palestine, in Ohio, a full year after that train derailment, right? Here's a quick video for it, and watch the mayor in the back. He's a Republican mayor, and I think where you're watching, he's going to be over here in a red shirt. Kind of looks like me, actually, maybe a little rounder of a face, but he's going to be right over here. Watch him. I feel bad for this guy.
But we have other obligation, and that's to stay here as long as it takes to get everything done and be sure no one's left behind. In moments like this, let's remember who we are. We're the United States of America, for God's sake. We have obligations to one another. There's nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together, and we're going to stay here and do it together as long as it takes. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. We have a lot to do.
All right, so part of me feels like that's the speech that he was given to say a year ago if he would have went. We're not going to leave till the work's done. We have a lot to do. A lot's been done. Probably not enough, to be fair. But yeah, like what's he going to do now? And then how long is he going to stay there? Well, we're going to see. He stayed, less than 3 hours, I think. Less than 3 hours. A couple of things to point out here. First, like I said, I do feel bad for that Republican mayor. I think he just pretty much had to be there, Biden said, we have other obligations to stay here as long as it takes to get everything done and make sure no one is left behind. Took him a year to get there. Turned around and left as soon as he could. Just saying. He then said, we're the United States of America, for God's sake. We have obligations to one another. Yes, we do. Especially you. You're the president. Where have you been? Why did it take so long for him to get there? Why did it take so long for Pete Buttigieg to go there? Pete Buttigieg is over transportation, right? And if memory serves me correctly, because I meant to pull this up and I didn't, I think he was on vacation when this happened, and he didn't come off a vacation for this. And this was a huge disaster that merited his attendance to check things out, as well as Biden's, and neither of them came. Pete eventually came after somebody else did. We'll get into that in a second. Then he also said, we're going to stay here and do it together as long as it takes. Yeah, it's about time. The response to this toxic train derailment is one of the worst from this administration, possibly only second to the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan. So these guys know a thing or two about how to execute the disaster relief, so to speak. All right, let's look at a couple things real quick here. Let's see. New York Post, hiding by an AWOL as America faces crisis after crisis. This is from Joe Concha. He's a Fox News contributor. I see him on there all the time. He's a goofy dude. I like him. A question an increasing number of voters are asking these days is a perfectly reasonable one. Who the hell is running the country right now? And looking at President Biden's schedule just last week alone, the answer to that basic question is as clear as New Jersey swamps. On Tuesday, the 81. I'm going to do the creepy Joe. 81. My Lord. Delivered brief remarks on the Senate's passage of supplemental agreement. When reporters attempted to ask questions afterward, Biden said he had to run, but promised to take questions Wednesday or Thursday. That never happened, of course, and not because Biden had a stacked itinerary to contend with, but here's something more disconcerting. The commander-in-chief received Tuesday's daily intelligence brief, not in the morning, but at 2:45 p.m. Maybe he thinks our enemies like to sleep in on Tuesdays. Or worse, perhaps it's the president who needs additional snooze time. Either way, it's beyond unacceptable, especially given that the world is increasingly on fire and our border is wide open for terrorists to enter, and they have. On Wednesday and Thursday, it was lather, rinse, and repeat. No events on the schedule while Biden received the daily brief at 1 p.m. and 11:15 a.m. respectively. And Friday, Biden traveled to East Palestine, Ohio, to deliver remarks more than a year after a toxic train derailment sparked serious health fears among residents. The president then flew directly to Delaware for yet another long weekend at one of his multi-million-dollar homes. That's right. He said they would stay till the job was done in East Palestine, and then he took off as soon as he could. Here's a cool site I found. Now, you guys may be more in the know than I am, may know that this exists. I just recently found it. It's FactBase. What it is FactBA, FactBA.se. FactBase. I will have a link in the description below, as always. But this is the public schedule of Joe Biden. And I've already had this highlighted because I wanted to make sure I found it easily. So on, what was that, Friday the 16th, 4:45 p.m., the president delivers remarks on how the administration is holding Norfolk Southern accountable for the derailment and is working with the state and local officials to support the community as it moves forward. Full text analysis, yada, yada, yada. 4:45, 7:35, the president departs Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, en route to Dover, Delaware. Right? And then he ends up in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, at one of his multi-million-dollar homes. He waited a year to go there and couldn't even stay there 3 hours. On a side note, Trump was there about 2 weeks after it happened, give or take, which was still before Pete Buttigieg showed up. Also on the schedule, and I'll go back to it real quick. Also on the schedule, we can see what he was talking about. If we go back and look at the daily briefings, which you would imagine your daily briefings are the first thing you get in the morning. It was like on Valentine's Day, of course, you know, he's got to sleep in a little bit. Is that right? Daily briefings, 1 p.m. Yeah, daily briefing, vice president attends, 1 p.m. right there, 1 p.m. On that Tuesday, it was the 2:45 one, I think, 2:45. So, yeah, I don't know who's running the show, but I don't think it's him. I don't think it's him at all. He's struggling. It's obvious. And I think we can all safely admit that there is something wrong with Joe.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.